Even super experienced tennis players struggle with their transition shots, deep volleys, half volleys, and in this special lesson, I'm going to tell you the most common reason why that is. This is a student I just worked with a couple days ago. She's a 4.0 doubles player, super experienced, but she was struggling from this mid-court section of the court while trying to make her way from the baseline up to the net. Before I show you the technical reason why this was happening and the drills we did together to fix it, quickly in your mind, answer the question, what phase of play is this shot that this player is hitting right now? She is in the middle of no man's land and the ball is getting ready to bounce right in front of her. What phase of play, offense, neutral, or defense, is this shot? Just answer in your mind real quick. The answer is defense. We're far away from the net. We're not very close yet to be able to attack. The ball is oftentimes as low as possible. This is not the lowest half volley ever, but it's well below her strike zone. And just the general, like the basic technical degree of challenge here is very high because we're taking this ball on the rise frequently right off the bounce, and we're far away from the net, so we do not have the luxury of being able to attack down at our opponent's side of the court. So all those things stack up together to put us on defense. This happened to be a former very high-level volleyball player, and I use the analogy for her. This is a set. This is not a spike. We're not trying to win the point off this ball. We're trying to place this ball in a tactically advantageous location, live to fight another day, and then improve our positioning on the court, improve our phase of play, and at least get to neutral, but hopefully offense before we pull the trigger and try to hit a great shot. So watch the technique. So I've purposely only shown you up until this point. After contact, watch the swing that's happening here. And I'll play a couple of these for you. I'll show you some forehands too. But this is what her backhand looked like beforehand. And I just had her hit a bunch of backhand half volleys in a row, a bunch of forehand half volleys in a row. And for all intents and purposes, this is a ground stroke swing. And not that ground strokes are necessarily, like by definition, offensive, but generally ground strokes are being struck well after the bounce, not always, but usually well after the bounce, maybe towards the peak of the bounce. On average, for your everyday tennis player, usually it's on the way down from the bounce. So we have much more time. We're much further away from the baseline, much more ability to fine-tune our positioning, our balance, so on and so forth. Let me show you what her forehand half volley looked like, and you'll see a very, very similar kind of approach here. The good news is she was not taking a full backswing like she would on a typical, like, proper ground stroke. So she had shortened that up a little bit. But the hit and the actual finish, there are some exceptions to what I'm about to say, but not many. You will not see a professional doubles player take a half volley on the way in towards the net and make a full over-the-shoulder follow-through. You will find some exceptions to that, but by and large, they are taking a set mentality and trying to place the ball. So I showed her technique, which just out of the gate she was blown away by, and she kind of couldn't believe it. She couldn't believe how much she was moving her racket and how big of a swing she was using. And I had her just go out and attempt without any kind of demonstration. She continued to follow through without realizing it. And I said, okay, just come over here by the iPad. Let me demonstrate. This is opposite-handed for me. I'm left-handed, which almost kind of in a way I think helps because I was focusing on making things as clean and simple as possible. Notice how my backswing is half of what hers was. The edge of my racket isn't even making it to the back or past the back edge of my body. So my goal here is to really just set the racket face up directly behind the incoming ball and just meet the ball on the strings with just about an 8 or 10 inch forward motion into the ball, and then allow the energy that rebounded off the ground into the racket face. And by the way, this is upward energy. This is not like a normal volley where the ball is falling out of the air onto our racket face, we get to use the energy coming up off the court. And because of the angle of deflection, the ball wants to continue to rise. So notice how my racket face is actually quite square, but that's because I know that I'm receiving upward energy. And possibly most importantly, watch how through the point of contact, I'm not even bringing the racket to a full forward position. This is really honestly very much just like a traditional volley technique. Slight take back, smooth, calm guide forwards, utilizing and using and redirecting the energy that's on the ball. It's tempting because we're in transition, right? We're going from a inherently defensive position back behind the baseline up to an inherently offensive position in front of the service line. And we know that we're vulnerable during that transition. And so there is this fight or flight response that gets triggered in even very experienced tennis players. And they've been also, what compounds this is we've been told ad nauseum to not hit shots and don't be in no man's land. Like go, 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 like close, close, close. Take the ball out of the air, don't let it bounce. If you watch high-level doubles, lots of balls bounce. Guess why? Our opponents are trying to make it bounce right in front of our feet. So even if you're the fastest human on the face of the earth, a good shot from our opponent will still find a bounce as you come forwards sometimes. So we can't ignore this shot. The best we can do is be calm, be simple, be clean. And after doing that demonstration, I think it finally clicked for her. And here is what her new attempts were looking like. Still a little bit more than what she really needs on the backswing here on the preparation. But now she's hitting the ball and keeping things very simple, no longer finishing with like an actual ground stroke follow through. And she's starting to trust that if she hits the ball cleanly, she can use the energy off the bounce and just redirect. That was a really nice one. That was super clean and smooth. If you catch the ball on the strings right off the bounce, there's a ton of free energy, and you don't have to add your own. Now, for those of you who stuck around towards the end, here's a little bonus. On the backhand side, I talked her into attempting one hand instead of two. She had a one-handed backhand volley, in which she made the transition several years ago and had become quite competent and solid with it. But for anything that bounced, even once she was inside the service line, she was still putting her opposite hand on the racket and using two hands. And in my opinion, this was dramatically overcomplicating things, causing her. We played some point play together, and she would often in real time second guess herself about how sometimes the ball is coming into that perfectly awkward chunk of court real estate where you're not quite sure, is this a volley, is it a half volley? And so she would sometimes hit a two-handed half volley with her left hand still on the throat, because that was her ready position, and just try to shovel the ball over when the ball bounced in front of her and she didn't really quite expect it. It was just kind of a mess because she wasn't quite sure exactly what she was trying to do. So I'm so proud of this student because she gave it a shot. She took her left hand off for the first time and also made the correction to clean things up and keep it super clean and simple. And the results were incredible. She immediately started finding her rhythm and finding her timing with one hand right off the bounce and started cleaning things up as far as her swing. She no longer had that ground stroke aesthetic on the backhand side. And also, big picture, this is key. Now she can make the decision, I'm coming forwards on her own terms, maybe right after return to serve or maybe serve and volley. And now she knows I'm in volley mode, and she no longer has to wonder, is this a two-handed shot? Is this a one-handed shot? Half volleys, volleys, they're all going to be hit from both sides with one hand now. It dramatically simplifies things. And if she continues to train the simplification of her technique as well, her transition game is going to dramatically improve. And her confidence and her consistency and the quality of shots is going to dramatically improve. So If you're struggling with your transition game, follow these guidelines. I know it's going to be super helpful for you. Thanks for watching today. Let me know what you're working on down below. And if the video is helpful, I'd really appreciate hearing so. And if you have a spare half a calorie, you could tap that like button. That'd be great too. Thanks for watching today. I'll talk to you again soon.